right, boys and girls, we're getting ready for our story time. Story time is one of my favorite times out of the day. Like I told you, Miss Brooks loves to read books. Today I got a good one for you, okay? It's about these little monkeys. And these little monkeys, they kind of get into a little bit of trouble. They kind of give off a little bit of mischief. You know what mischief is? It's kind of doing silly stuff, okay? And there's a peddler in our book. The book is called Caps for Sale. The peddler, he likes to sell the caps. Well, the monkeys get a hold to the caps, and you won't believe what they do. All right, so let's get ready to read our story and find out how are these monkeys silly in the story. What do they do to that peddler? Here we go. Caps for sale. All right, look at our picture. Look at the peddler. What's on his head? Those are all of his caps. Can you believe that? He doesn't have one. He has a bunch. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checked cap. Then a bunch of gray caps, a bunch of brown caps, a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. And he could walk and the caps didn't fall. That's pretty cool. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight as to not upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. Remember, he didn't sell any caps. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said. And he walked out of town slowly, slowly, as not to upset the caps on his head. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back just a little. Because remember, he doesn't want to upset his caps. He doesn't want them to fall. Then he put his hand to feel, to see if the caps were straight. First his own checked cap, and then the gray caps, and then the brown caps, and the blue caps, and the red caps at the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. He felt so good. But something was different. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. What's missing? He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked in back of him. No caps. He looked behind the tree. No caps. When he looked up into the tree, oh goodness, guess what he saw? What do you think he saw? The monkeys. On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. What did the monkeys do? They got his caps. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. What do you think he's going to say to the monkeys? "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tss, tss, 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 tss." I told you they were kind of being silly monkeys. This made the peddler angry. So he shook both hands at them and he said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both of their hands back at him and said, "Tss, tss, 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 tss." Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him. And what did they say? By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and he shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both of their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, 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 tss." At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap and he threw it on the ground and he began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap, and guess what they did with it? All the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps, and he put them back on his head. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." All right, and that is the end of our book. So see, the monkeys were being kind of silly. You know, they took the caps, but you know what? They were playing with the peddler. They thought it was all a game. And in the end, did they make the right choice? They gave the caps back, didn't they? Like I said, one of my favorite books. I love this book, okay? Tomorrow, when I see you again, we'll have a brand new book for our story time, all right? Bye, boys and girls. Have a good afternoon.